Hello and welcome to Media Hub. I'm your host, Don D. Sanchez, and in this episode called The Details That Matter, we will be spotlighting the unsung heroes behind the scenes, discussing their vital contributions that keep production on point. They may not be in the limelight, but their efforts are essential to every successful project. Which brings me to today's guest. Her name, Ana Rivera, and she's the owner of Beauty Special. Beauty Special caters to weddings, TV and film productions, fashion shows, and commercials. They are trusted by industry giants like the Walt Disney Company and Universal Orlando. So if you're interested in becoming a hair and makeup artist, then this episode is for you. So without further delay, let's meet Ana. Hey Ana, how you doing?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Good. Yeah, no, I'm glad you were able to do it. I know you guys have a busy schedule. You guys always have so many shoots going on or projects going on. So thank you for saying yes when I contacted you. I wanted to start out
Of
because
course.
me and you go way back. You know, we've done many projects together
Yeah.
throughout these probably 3 decades. I'll say that nice and slow, nice and low, 3 decades. But I I thought you would be great because there are a lot of people that do hair and makeup, but even for me, like people don't really go to film school to do hair and makeup. So I thought this would be great because there's a lot of people that want to get in the industry, but just they don't know how to. So I thought you would be the perfect person to do that. Not only because you have a successful business, but you also bring on a lot of people on your team because you guys are so busy. So why don't you tell everybody how you started out in the industry?
I started very, very young. I was 17 at the time. I moved from California to Florida, and I got a job at the Walt Disney Company in the cosmetology department doing wigs in Magic Kingdom. And I always wanted to get into the production side of it, but there was no openings. So I became a floater, which means that I would just jump from job to job, show to show, and I would kind of cover everything. It could be middle of the night, could be early morning, anything that somebody else didn't want to do, I would do it. And that's why I started. I started at 17 and I would work on shows like Star Search, Mickey Mouse Club, Golden Girls, the Roseanne Show, anything that was taping at Walt Disney World that needed cosmetology support. I would always be working on shows like that, and that's how I started in the
That's
production industry in the TV world.
Yeah, that's awesome. But how did you end up getting into the wig department or the hair department? It was it just wigs, or did you do hairstyles as well in that
No,
department? How did you get in there?
well, I went to beauty school in California. So when I went in California in high school, there was a cosmetology department or a course that you could take as a student, and it was free of charge. So I went to school for 2 years, and I got my beauty license, cosmetology license in California. And then when I moved to Florida, because the cost of living in California was too high, I needed a job, and my mother suggested that I get a job at Disney because she was working at Disney. Because I did not want to work in a hair salon. I wanted to work in the hair world, but not in a salon. And my mother was a hairdresser, and my grandfather was a barber, so I always had that hair bug in me. So it intrigued me. And then when I went to apply, because I was so young and I came from California and I had a lot of hours, then I was able to get the position in the cosmetology department at Walt Disney World. And that's why I started. I started working with wigs, but I had more of an interest in the TV and film industry. And I think that was like 1991, I think it was. I don't even remember, but and that's why I started. I kind of like just jumped in and helped out, and then it became, one job after the other, and that's why I stayed there.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you next. Like, how long were you staffed before you made the jump to freelance? And then from
Right.
freelance, let me ask you this: from freelance, did you go straight into Beauty Special, or were you freelance for a while and you
No.
said, okay, let me decide on opening up a company? Can you just go through that for me? Like, how long were
Yeah.
you staffed? What made you jump to freelance? And then from freelance, what made you open up Beauty Special?
So I stayed at the Walt Disney Company in the production side for, I was what, 17, 18. I would say I was there till 20, 22, 23. And I worked at MAC Cosmetics at the time when it was owned by MAC Cosmetics. And because I had so much TV and film experience, I would do a lot of like fashion shows. I would go to Europe. I would go to Miami. I would go anywhere that MAC would be doing fashion shows, Fashion Week. And I was in charge of they're artists and creating looks for like Betsy Johnson, Adidas. So we would work on the models. I would create the look, do the models, and then they would copy the model look that I gave them, and they would do that. And so I worked at Mac for, I don't even know, like 4 years. I was still doing freelancing on the side when I was home, but I was mostly traveling and doing makeup for Mac Cosmetics. But when Mac was sold to Estee Lauder, then the whole industry is just hiring an artist. It was now retail. It's like sell, sell, sell. It's about the $90, not about the artistry. So I knew that it was time for me to go. So I was doing a training at the Florida Mall, and I was going into a transitional period. And when I was working, somebody that walked by the mall saw me in the store, and they asked me if I was back in town. And I told them that I was back in town, but I needed to figure out something because I was in a transitional period of my life. So that person suggested that he had heard that the department that I was working in production was coming to an end. So uh, that department that did production kind of transitioned into Disney fairy tale weddings because there were so many of us and they didn't know where to place us. We kind of got thrown into weddings. So that department was now going into a transitional period, and they were getting rid of that department. They were gonna be absorbed by the parks. So a lot of the brides weren't gonna have any hair and makeup, and they were kind of freaking out. So he suggested that I go in and apply. So I did just that. So I made an appointment, put an interview in the offices at Celebration for the fairy tale department, Disney fairy tale wedding department. And when I went, they said that they knew that I would be. They said we knew you'd come. So they said, well, we know you have experience. You know the Disney rules and the way and all that. And they said, do you have a company? And I said, yes, I do, which I did not. And they said, is your name registered? You have everything. You have insurance, liability, workers' comp. I'm like, yes, I do. No, I didn't.
No, I did
So they
not.
said,
That's
well, in
awesome.
3 days, they said you need to come back for a second interview. And I'm like, okay, great. So then I called my friend because I was also working in Vegas, working celebrity poker. So I told him, I was like, okay, so I just lied, and they said that I told them I had a company, have insurance, have employees, and I'm like, I don't have any of that. And I'm like, what do I do? Because I need to show proof of insurance and everything. So he said, contact this CPA, pick a name, get registered, you call this insurance company. So since I've been traveling in Europe, I opened up a magazine, a photography makeup magazine. I'm like, okay, whatever name comes up, it's all in French. Whatever name comes up is the name I'm going to call my company. So then I opened up a magazine, and this name Beauté Spéciale came up, which means special beauty. And I'm like, okay, that sounds good. I'll take it. And then
Wow.
I needed a logo. And so I had a logo of this black and red squiggle line that somebody had drawn. It's actually my silhouette because I was on a show in Europe, and I was making the schedules for the makeup artist, and it was an event, so we had to wear like this red lipstick, and like we had to have these long lashes. And so when I was kind of making out the schedule, the artist that was sitting next to me just kind of drew me with a red and black Sharpie and created this silhouette. So that's a silhouette of me that nobody knows. So then when I needed to put my company together, I picked the name, I picked the logo, I got it all registered, I got an attorney, I got a CPA. I mean, I was ready to go. So when I went back in 3 days, I had all my insurance and everything. So I threw it together overnight, and that's why I did it. And then because of Estee Lauder buying Mac, everybody was going into a transitional period. I asked a lot of the artists, and I'm like, who wants to come with me? Because we're about to take over these weddings. And they're like, I think I took half of the store. And we just jumped in and took over all these weddings. So it was a very transitional period for weddings, and that way the brides didn't know what was going on, so they weren't left in limbo. So we kind of like just jumped in and took over the weddings at that time because
Let me
nobody
tell you
was doing
something.
what we were doing as of yet.
Yeah, but first of all, that story is amazing. I'm gonna be honest. I never knew that, and I known you a long time. I've never known that.
Well, I'm always like the
But
fake it till you make it person, and I always do.
no, but let me tell you something. You know how many people would have just caved and said no,
Yeah.
and then would have just passed off. Imagine if you would have said no. wouldn't have any of this that you've built
Well, I
right now.
didn't, but I don't
But
ever
that's
take
what I'm
no for an
saying.
answer.
It's a good thing because basically you had all this work that they were handing over to you because they already knew you. You already had a relationship
Yeah.
with them, and they knew what you could do. And they're like, "Hey, we feel comfortable with you." But just imagine if you would have said no. That's why
Yeah, I don't know. I don't
not
know what I would have
everybody can
done.
do that. I know, but what
Right.
you did is amazing. Seriously, like that's a very cool
Thanks.
story. And I'm glad now I know that because I mean I always knew you were a go getter. We talk all the time about
Yeah.
that stuff. You know what I mean? But
Well, you have to hustle. Yeah.
what is it? You have
And
to
that's why
what?
I did it. Is that you have to hustle. I mean, you
Absolutely.
have to hustle every day. Even when you've made it, you still have to hustle because anybody can get work. Anybody can get work. It's like how do you keep it going? So it's about the relationships and the hustling and that's how you keep going. I mean, you do it yourself. That's why you're successful. I mean, you have to hustle every day. Every
Absolutely.
day.
Absolutely. Well, talk about hustling. So, and I learned this after me calling you to do a couple hair and makeup jobs on our shoots. It's you know, I had to learn all the questions to ask prior to even calling you or say, "Hey, Anna, this is the job we got coming up." Blah blah
Yeah.
blah. I want you to know, like when somebody calls you, right, and asks for your team to come out. What are some of the questions? Like you must have already a layout of a certain criteria of questions that you need to know to either do the job or send the right person out to the job. What are those questions that you ask?
So when the client books a job, I ask, obviously, first I ask, is it a celebrity? Because obviously, a celebrity, in our team, we have people that are seasoned and we have some newer, fresher artists. And if it's a seasoned celebrity or somebody who is particular, then obviously I would send a seasoned artist or myself to work on that celebrity. If it's not a celebrity, I ask, okay, what is their ethnicity? What is there a certain anything we need to know about hair or skin type, or do we need to bring, some accessories, some wigs, some hair pieces? So I ask all those questions. Do we have to cover tattoos? So I pretty much ask the questions to make sure that I schedule the right artist for the right job. So it's not about anybody okay, we have an artist available, I'm going to send this artist. It's about scheduling the right artist for the right job because we have to make sure A, that the client is comfortable and the talent is comfortable, and B, that the artist is comfortable as well because, I'm not going to put an artist in a situation that they may not be comfortable doing. So I do make sure that I, ask a million questions to make sure that I schedule the right person for the right job. So, in essence, that's what I pretty much do when I schedule an artist on a job.
But how do you separate yourself? Because here's the thing: a lot of artists can't do, let's say, African American hair or Spanish hair,
Yeah.
or you get what I'm saying? Like, so your team, you in general,
Yeah.
did you get all those people and surround your or build your team like that to separate yourself?
No, well, I'm pretty much well versed in everything. So when we work in hair and makeup on location, you know, we're not really like, doing any chemical services. We're not doing any type of hair color. So that is not what we specialize in. Even though we're cosmetologists and estheticians, a lot of us can do things like that, but because I know that it's not a chemical service and pretty much any of us can do. But there are people in our team that are like, let's say, African American. We did a job for a big campaign for the African American community. And it did involve some hair extensions that involved, and we had to weave some hair, we had to glue some hair. So obviously we wouldn't do that on set. We would do that prior to the job. So I do have artists that have specialties in certain areas, so then I would schedule that artist to go and do that specialty thing that needs to be done. We do have artists that are like special effects artists. I don't specialize in that. I can do it, but it's not my specialty. So when we have to create like a cut and a bruise or create like a portrait on somebody's body or anything, then I would schedule that person to do that job because that is what she specializes in. Even though she can do other hair and makeup, that is her specialty. So I try to, again, schedule the right person for the right job. So I do ask the questions of what needs to be done for what job. But like I said, I do have people that specialize in certain areas that can do things that we would not normally do on set, or that if we do on set, it's all hands on deck, and they would take care of that person doing that job. It takes a couple hours, so the rest of us keep going with everything else. So it's pretty much just asking the right questions.
Yeah.
Did I answer that right?
Yeah, oh, yeah, you did. Let me
Okay.
ask you this: the collaborating process, because it is a big collaboration process, right?
Yeah.
Depending whether it's a wedding or a film or TV shoot or a editorial, right? Let's say a photographer is
Yeah.
going for a specific look.
Yeah.
What's your process for that, for collaborating to achieve their look for a project?
Well, nowadays it's a lot of the people are about social media. So when it's not a lifestyle shoot, it's more entail like fashion or special effects or something. I've been asking a lot of the art directors now for a mood board for inspirations, because a lot of the people have an idea of what they want to look for a certain thing, but they don't know how to translate it into words. So a lot of the things now that we do is we ask for mood boards, or for hair and makeup inspirations, so that way I kind of know what they're thinking for what look they want, so that way obviously we can deliver what they need on the day of the appointment, and not come to the job and be like, I didn't know we needed that. So a lot of the questions now, I feel like hair and makeup has changed now. And before, when they would just think your job, you just kind of, okay, here I am doing the job. But now there's so many moving parts to hair and makeup. It's like a whole, it's a huge business, that you have to make sure that you ask for inspirations. You ask for, like I said, the particular question, so that way if we have to bring hair, then we buy the hair, or we have to buy certain, a blue eyeliner that I would not normally have in my kit, then I have enough time to order it. Or they wanted, like I had a job the other day where they wanted seashells in her hair. So obviously I don't have seashells in the office, so I went ahead and ordered it. I was smart enough to ask in advance if there's anything particular that they needed in the hair, and they said, yeah, seashells. And I'm like, so how do you think that I would have that in my kit when I would come to work? So I was able to order that
Right.
on Amazon, and obviously it didn't come in time, but we went to Michael's and we figured it out, and just kind of like pinned it with like some fishing wire. I don't even know, but we made it work and it looked good. So
Wow. And you had to pivot and figure that out like right there that day. There was no
yeah,
lead
so
time.
well, pretty much when they sent me an inspiration of the shells they wanted in the hair, but the ones that they wanted, they saw on Amazon, and it had like a little ring, so the ring would attach itself to the braid, or to the hair, so that way it would stick in the braid. So when we ordered on Amazon, Amazon Prime is not overnight anymore, so it didn't come in time, which is say it was coming, but it didn't come in time. So I went to Michael's and I got some seashells that look similar to that. And then here I am in the middle of the night with a nail dremel drilling holes in the shell. And I had some fishing wire in the office. So I went ahead and put a little fishing wire in it, and I tied it into like a little hoop. And then I just kind of used like a hairpin and just pinned it. So the fishing wire is clear, you don't see it. And the hairpin was black. So it kind of looked the same. Then nobody knew, but obviously the hair shells didn't come in time. So we had to just figure it out. So a lot of it is improvising. Like you have to improvise, like, okay, it doesn't work, but this is what we got. So we got to make it work. Like there is no, like, I can't do it. Like you have to figure it out,
Yeah.
because
Huh.
the client is, dependent on you to, bring out the look that they have, that they have. You don't want to let your client down. You don't want to let the person who recommended you for the job down. So it's a lot of pressure.
Absolutely.
So you want to make sure you deliver. So I always make
Absolutely.
sure that I figure it out. And even if we're having an issue on something and can't figure it out, no one will know that, because they don't need to know that part.
Yeah. And let me ask
But
you
yeah,
this, because you brought up a good point, especially when someone is referring you for a job. Because
yeah,
that job, you don't know how many other jobs are going to come from it. How many of
right.
your jobs are word of mouth?
All of them. Every single one is word of mouth. So, again, I always make sure that if somebody's recommending me for a job, I want to make sure that I obviously make the client happy, but also make the person who referred us, look good, because they could refer to anyone else, or anybody could have done the job, but because they referred me, I want to make sure that I do a good job for the client, for the shoot in the end, and for the person who who recommended us. So it's like,
Yeah.
it's like a big circle. So
Yeah.
I don't want to let anyone down.
I want to jump into something real quick because we're on this topic right now. Because
Yeah.
social media, how important is social media as opposed to a website for your business or for this industry?
So back in the day, we didn't have social media. So, we didn't, I mean, a lot of the jobs you did, it was, it's like you could say, I did this job, but you couldn't take any photos, you couldn't take anything. So now everybody's about social media, tag us, make sure that you give us credit. So a lot of the job, I would say 90% of the jobs they want to know is like, okay, can I see your portfolio? So can I see your social media? Can I see your Instagram page? So they want to make sure that you have a website, because if you have a website, even though it's all our photos are there, our information is there. If you have a website, then you're a legit company. It's what they think it is, but they don't really look at your website. They want to look at your social media. So social media is everything. So if you tell them that you don't have a website, you have social media. From what I've realized is that they don't feel like you're a real company if you don't have a website.
Right.
So they kind of go hand in hand, but I feel that they don't even look at your website these days. They just look at your social media.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And
social
do
media is
you
very
take care?
important.
Do you take care of it, or somebody on your team take care of it?
No. So I have my personal one that I post here and there, but it's a lot of moving parts. You know how it is. It's you get
Yeah.
tied up and you forget to post, or you're on a job and you can't post anything because it's top secret. So you just don't even bother if you don't want to get in trouble. But we have a company that we hire, and they do our social media. And so what we do is, she did our website and she also does social media. So we upload photos in our Dropbox, and then she creates reels and posts to post on our social media. She posts on Instagram. She does LinkedIn, Linktree, Facebook. I mean, you name it. She does it all.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And
we do have a company that does it.
has it been profitable for you? Has it been the return on
Yes,
investment on it? Has it worked for you?
yes, 100%. So I was never a believer. I'm like, who needs social media? Like, forget it. I don't have time
Right.
for it. But I have noticed that between word of mouth and social media, our business has tripled. So
Wow.
definitely, definitely, I would recommend social media. Like, I'm old school, as you know, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't need social media, but you kind of do.
and
You
um
do.
and and has it grown in every aspect, meaning weddings, TV
Yes.
and editorial?
Yeah. And I've told people in the past that before I go, we just do hair and makeup. But I'm like, hair and makeup is so much bigger now. It's so much. Everybody wants glam. Everybody needs glam. Everybody needs hair extensions. Everybody needs lashes. I mean, everybody needs a spray tan. Like, it is such a huge business. Like, it's more than just hair and makeup. It is like a huge company. There's a lot of moving parts. It's a very political business. You just have to know how to play the game right, and you just have to stay on top of your game. Like, you have to reinvent yourself every couple of years, and that's what we do.
Let me tell you something.
So,
I had no idea weaves were that.
oh yeah.
Uh, they're.
Before I
I
was
want to
African
invest in this
American,
somehow. Like I
I
literally want to
know.
invest
So
in this somehow.
before African, it was just African Americans. Like, oh, does she have a wig? But now
Yeah.
it's everybody, even children. Like, okay, I don't like the hair. Can you bring some hair? Like, actually, I was on the phone before we started doing this for a job I'm doing on Monday, and she
Yeah.
is a well-known celebrity, and they're like, okay, so do I need to bring hair? I had to bring hair last time. They're like, yeah, you should go buy some hair because she may need
Yeah.
it. And, I feel like I have hair, they change her hairstyle every color every couple of weeks. So
Right.
tomorrow I'm going to look at the television to see what she looks like currently, so that once I'm done tomorrow, I can go to the hair store and buy some hair to put on her because she expects me to have it. So, so
Which
you just do what you got
not
to
even
do.
regular, but not even regular women in the salon had this. I know only because of how you guys helped us out on our wedding. Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
It was a blessing, and I'm gonna tell this story because I only know the process. But when we renewed our vows, and my wife wanted, my wife's all salt pepper now or white. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the
She's
hardest
beautiful. Her hair is beautiful.
thing, but that was the hardest thing to find out of
Oh,
doing
yeah.
the whole doing the whole wedding. That was the hardest thing to find, is this hair, and then to match. And she tried three other people, and I was like, you know what? Just try Anna. Give her a call. See what happens.
Yeah.
And then you guys were like, no problem. Just send me the hair. And I was
Yeah.
like, I couldn't believe
But
it.
we have people on our team that specialize in hair color. Like, they do hair and
Yeah.
makeup, but that is their specialty. Everybody has a specialty. So,
Yeah.
we're all good at everything, but everybody has a specialty. So I knew that she can, so she went to a school that specializes in hair color. Like she already knew all that. So I knew that she could do it.
She
So,
killed
I mean,
it.
does she
She
still wear
killed it.
them or is her hair long now?
No, well, her
Eileen's
hair
hair.
is longer than it
Yeah, yeah.
now, but I mean, it's. Let me tell you something. She was so happy, and
Yeah. No
I
good.
mean, I don't have to say how women are. You know how women are with hair and make sure it's
Yeah.
all matches
Of
and perfect and
course.
everything. I'm like, it's fine.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
put it up and we'll be fine. But no,
No, it's
you guys did it
not.
great. No,
Yeah. Well,
for
good.
us guys, it's nowhere near
Also,
as important.
yeah. And I feel like the way the world is, the state of the world, people want to feel
Yeah.
good about themselves, like it gives you confidence. I mean, people think it's vanity, which it is. But,
Yeah.
it's if you feel good about yourself and you're able to get through your day and you feel confident, like why not?
Well, here's another example, and this was a shoot that we were on, and you actually brought it to my attention. We won't say any names or anything like that, but we were on a
Hmm.
shoot, and it was for a very popular show, and we were doing some wraparounds, and the two hosts were African American, right? And the girl was
Hmm.
young, and she didn't like
Hmm.
the makeup I don't know if it was the
Hmm.
previous one or whatever, and you were like,
Hmm.
no, they had her looking like you know which shit we're
Hmm.
talking about, right?
Yep. Hmm.
So keeping up with the trends, how important is it keeping up with the trends of hair and makeup and the styles and everything like that? I would assume it's very important,
Uh,
but how important is it? Like, what do
right.
you do to stay up with the trends?
Well, obviously, we watch a lot of reality TV because a lot of it is reality TV. And then when we look at reality TV, we're not looking at the show to be like, oh, like this is the drama that's going on. We're looking like, okay, her hair, she got a haircut, she got a blowout. Okay, look at that blue eyeliner. Like I was looking at a show the other day, and they were doing like an interview, and she was wearing this beautiful, like light blue turquoise liquid eyeliner on the top and bottom. And I kept looking at her interview, and all I kept doing is like, okay, they have it on the top. Every time she would blink, I'm like, okay, it's all the way inside the eye to the corner. Then it's at the bottom. And then they gave her like an orange blush. So that is what we're doing. Like, we're not looking at the show to look at the show half the time. We're looking to see if what they look like. Because a lot of times when you go to a client, they'll pull up a picture for reference of a celebrity or a reality TV star, and they want to look like that. So you want to make sure that you know what they're talking about so that you're prepared to be like, oh yeah, I know that person. I know exactly what you're talking about. So it's a lot of research. It's a lot of homework. You have to live it, eat it, and breathe it. When I look at a magazine or I look at a movie, I'm not looking at the movie, at the story. I'm looking at the whole hair and makeup glam. Did they blend it well? Okay, they missed the neck. It's literally ingrained in your brain. So you are, without even looking at it, you can go to the grocery store and be like, okay, she needs to get her roots done, or like that is the wrong foundation for her. So you're constantly like, how would I fix it if I did her hair and makeup? What would I do? What would I recommend? So I think in order to be a good, strong hair and makeup artist, you have to constantly be on your game, watch a lot of television, movies, TikTok, Instagram, and just, you have to kind of teach yourself, you have to be constantly learning. You don't really turn it off. You're
Yeah.
constantly just always absorbing everything and learning and trying to figure out how they did that. Okay, I have to do a braid, I'm not a braid specialist, but I need to learn because a lot of the braids are in right now, and you just, you order mannequins, and on your free time, when you have a little bit of free time, you start kind of like challenging yourself and like, okay, I need to learn how to do this braid because braids are really in right now. So you have to constantly always be on your A game. Like during COVID, obviously everybody had to wear a mask, we had to wear a shield. Everybody was like, oh my gosh, I don't need hair and makeup because I don't want to get COVID. And I tell people, I'm like, we're licensed professionals. There's a reason why we have a license. Like, it's not about, oh, I need to get a license that can work. It's about, okay, so learning the proper procedures of sanitation. You always wash your hands. You always bring hand sanitizer. You clean your brushes. You sanitize, sterilize everything. So I had to work really hard to keep us working during the pandemic. So I was like, we're professionals. We don't none of us really get sick because of that, because we sanitize and clean all our implements every
Right.
single day or after every single client. So when we were during COVID, everybody's wearing a mask. I'm like, how do I stay relevant in this in this industry now, because is this a forever thing with the mask? Like, are we going to lose work out of it? So I did a lot of research, and we ended up learning, like we ended up how to step up our eye game. So we brought like bigger lashes, and we did more like exaggerated, I guess, eye makeup looks for people because they were on TV wearing a mask. And I'm like, how do we stay relevant? So you have to kind of do all this research so that you're always working and you're ahead of the game. So now that we're not wearing masks for TV, people now want that eye makeup look, because glam was a big deal. So that
Yeah.
is how we were able to stay in the game when a lot of people were not working. It's because, you have to do some research and see, okay, what do I do now that we're not doing a full face of makeup?
Right.
But it's a lot of learning, constantly learning and teaching yourself. And also, too, a lot of the artists are younger. So half of us are young and half of us are older. So we learn from each other. So there are things that the younger artists are teaching me
Right.
that I would not have normally done back in the day, that I'm like, okay, well, it works. And then a lot of the younger artists are like, oh, a lot of highlight. I'm like, okay, calm down with the highlight. It's good to do some highlight, but this is the right highlight to use. If you use too much highlight, then it's going to look oily on the skin, it'll look sweaty. So you have to kind of like, you know, kind of observe and learn from them, and then they learn from us as well. So we kind of help each other out. So you have to
I'm
be
glad
open
you said
minded to that.
that. No, but I'm glad you said that because I was going to ask you that question because I know you always bring in people on your team and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and additional people. But I was going to ask you, are you
Right.
purposely looking for younger people
Yeah.
because styles are
Well,
changing?
both. Well, both. We still have a seasoned clientele, so we have to have people that are comfortable doing shorter hair, or maybe some of these old hairstyles are coming back where they want like a big teased bouffant, like a
Hmm.
French twist type of thing. And a lot of the younger artists don't know how to do those kind of older hairstyles. We do train them. Okay, so this is how you tease. This is how you pack a tease without looking like a rat's nest. You can still comb it out. So we have to find people that can still do these older hairstyles, but are still trainable, moldable to learn the older hairstyle, but in a younger sense. But
Right.
it's been very hard to find people that are open. Because a lot of the people that have worked in the industry for a long time think they know it all, which is, an issue sometimes. And I've
Right.
been doing this a long time, but I don't feel like I know it all. I know a lot, but I don't know everything, and I'm not afraid of like, okay, you guys, what is your input on this? Like, what do you think I should do? I'm not afraid to ask, like you have to humble yourself. Like, okay, what do you think we should do? We're here to get the job done. It's not about me, it's about the company. We're all here together as a team. How do we accomplish this to make sure that we succeed and get this job done right so that everybody's happy? So you have to humble
Yeah. No.
yourself sometimes, and
Absolutely.
I do that a lot.
All right. So Anna, are there differences for makeup application for TV, for editorial, and for weddings? Are there different types?
There is. So back in the day when I started, obviously high definition TV was not a thing. So we had
Yeah.
to really know how to do a really good makeup application. So we didn't have a contour palette. So if we didn't have a contour palette, then you would figure out like a dark eyeshadow or a dark powder and make your contour palette. So I feel like I have an advantage because I learned how to do makeup when there was no high def. So you had to do a good job. Now there's so many things on the market. There's high def makeup. There's a contour palette, a highlighter palette. A makeup sealer, a makeup primer. Like, we didn't have all those things back in the day. So yeah, there is a big difference when you do makeup for weddings, TV, and all that stuff. So in the end, everybody wants to look like they came off the red carpet. That is like the ultimate look. Even for brides, it could be a grandma, it could be a TV show. I mean, everybody wants to look like they came off the red carpet. Nobody wants to look bakey, like dry, boring. They want to look like sexy but elegant. So everybody wants to look a bit, even grandmas, they all want to look like a bit sexy. So a lot of the makeup that we used to use back in the day, like we had airbrush makeup. And from my experience, my professional experience, I feel that airbrush makeup is going to become a thing of the past, because a lot of the makeup now, even like the drugstore brands that you buy, they've come a long way. Like the foundations, they have good coverage. They look good on skin. Like, you would never be able to tell from a drugstore foundation to a name brand foundation that you buy at a high end department store. So I feel like the makeup has evolved in a very strong way. And there's, for these younger artists that are now starting, there's so many options. There's so many, like the thinking of like, what do I buy? What do I do? Like that's gone. So you can pretty much buy something and it's ready to use on any skin, any person. As long as you know what you're buying, then I feel like the guessing has been taken out of it. So there's a lot more advantages to doing makeup these days than back in the day when I started, when everything was very limited. Like back when I started, I'll give you a little story. There was no like when we do a corporate person or a person that is bald, we have like a mattifying cream that we put on their bald head or their forehead, so that way they don't look like they're shiny. So back
Yeah.
in the old day, it didn't exist. So I remember I would use like the band deodorant. It came in a ball, the one with the ball, the band, the
Yeah.
liquid. So I
Yeah.
remember that I would take the ball out and I would pour it in a container, and then I would paint it on their face, and then that's like a deodorant because that's it's a antiperspirant. So I would literally paint it on their face, and they had no idea that it was a deodorant that I was using because it didn't exist. We didn't have anything to use for mattifying. So I didn't keep it in the band deodorant box. I didn't want anybody to think it was deodorant, which it was. So I pour it in
Right.
a bottle, and I would just paint it on, and it would just dry their skin like really matte, and then I would make up over it. So you had to kind of be creative, and now there's like 20,000 products out there that can give you a matte look without having to buy a band deodorant that was costing like $1 or something at the time.
Wow.
So that's how I did it.
So Anna, do you have a specific brand that you work with that you like?
Not necessarily. I mean, a lot of all the makeup lines kind of stepped up their game. So there's a lot of good products from a lot of different lines. So I may use foundation from one company because I feel like it works really well, or use a blush from another company because I like it. So not necessarily one brand. I mean, you can go buy the dollar store and buy like a cheap blush that's like really really fuchsia, but it works really good. So I mean, there is no one company that makes one certain product, and it's always good if you buy a product that you know what it's going to do. Like the product should work for you. Like not that it works for
Yeah.
you, but it should work for you. So in other words, like if you're stuck in a building and the power goes out and you're working with your phone light, which has happened, if you use that kind of foundation or that blush, you know exactly what it's going to do for you. There's no guessing. Like, is it going to dry well? Is it going to blend well? So I feel like if you're going to pick something to work with, you should know how well that product works for you, because there's going to be a time where you have to kind of do makeup on the run, and you have to be confident in the products that you use that they're going to deliver and do what you need them to do for what you need them for. So I wouldn't say, buy everything matte, buy everything fancy. I would say buy different products and different lines, try them out. Just because they're higher end doesn't mean that they're better. There's some lot, like I said, drugstore products that are really good that work just as well, if not better, in skin tone. And I know that when you're first starting out in the industry, it's a big investment buying makeup. They feel like, okay, this is a very high end brand. I should use this because that'll make me a better artist. Not necessarily. So I feel that it's a lot of it's tool of the trade to buying really good brushes and just knowing the product that you buy is going to work for you. And as a licensed professional, like a lot of the higher end makeup, I would say 90% of all the makeup lines, you're able to apply for a professional pro discount and get a discount at a discounted price. Like I can get like a really expensive foundation at 30% off. You have to go to the pro website and purchase from them to get that discount. So I would say apply to get discounts and maybe work for a makeup line that I know you're working in retail, but you get a lot of free products and it'll help you build your kit. And you also work on a lot of faces. So I say as a makeup person, the more faces you work on, the better you get, which means that a client come into the store, it could be an elderly lady, it could be an African American person, it could be an Asian person. So the more faces you work on that you don't know what you're working on till you meet them, the better you get and the quicker you get. So actually
Very
working in
good
retail is
advice.
not that bad
Yeah, especially as a
because you
beginner,
get your
right? Getting out,
practice. Yeah.
getting your practice and getting in,
Yeah.
especially working on, I'm assuming, be better than working on a mannequin, working on a real human
Oh
face
yeah,
and stuff like
because
that.
mannequin
Okay.
they don't have texture, so it's just like an elderly person, they have a lot of pores, they have mature skin, so it's the makeup it will adhere different on a person that's elderly versus a person that is in their 20s.
Wow.
So I feel that as an artist, nothing wrong with working retail. To start, build your kit, get your experience, work on your speed. Obviously, time is money. So if you don't want to take 2 hours on a face, when you're losing money then. So obviously, the way to do a makeup is like the appropriate time would be like 30 to 40 minutes on a makeup for a face. So anything after that, the makeup, if it's takes an hour, then it has to be like super high end, very detailed, not special effects, but it could be, something specific, a smoky eye, that could take a little more time. But you want to work on your speed, and you want to work on, asking the right questions to be sure you deliver the right look on the person that you're working on. So that way they're comfortable. And also,
Right.
doing makeup, it's about connecting with the client. So whenever you work on somebody's face, let's say you're working on a job, the first person they come into contact is a hair and makeup person. So I always tell people that we make or break the day. So if we come with a bad attitude, if they don't like what we're doing, we're not connecting with the client, we already set the mood for the whole day for the client and for the job. So we always want to make sure that we're pleasant, that, we ask the right questions, deliver, and make sure the client is happy and comfortable. Because if the client is happy with the makeup or the hair, then the day is going to be great. You're already winning. So the hair and makeup can make or break the day because we're the first person to come into contact.
I 100% agree with
Hmm.
you because you are the first person they
Yeah,
see. If
yeah,
especially if they're not happy with the way you make them look, they will come
yep.
to set upset.
Let
And
me let
then
me tell you,
everything is rolled down from there.
if you do makeup really good and they love their look, they will give you a car. Like they will give you their firstborn. Like you're God to them. Like seriously, like it's makeup is a big makeup is huge.
Yeah.
Makeup is such a I can't tell you like earning somebody's trust and making someone feel so
Yeah.
good about themselves. It is a big deal. Like you can work on a politician and this is the best they've ever looked. I'm like, they're ready to take on a country. Like I've literally have experienced that.
Well, that's what I
So
wanted to ask you because that you do see a lot of hair and makeup artists just travel with certain
yes,
celebrities or whoever, a celebrity. Let's just call him a
yeah,
celebrity. You know, did you say is that something you've done, or is that something that you
yeah.
stayed away
So
from?
no, no, no. I worked on everything. I worked in movies. I worked on pageants, reality TV, photo shoots, runway, music stars, presidents, government. Like I've done it all. I literally have done every single aspect of this job, even horror makeup. And it's not my favorite, but I've done it. So you just have to connect with the client. As long as the client is happy, they'll fly you wherever you need to go because there's something that it's like that trust that they develop with you, and they trust in you, like how to work on their face, that you make them look good. So as long as they're happy and you've earned that trust and they're comfortable with you, you know, you you can move mountains. Trust me.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I after seeing it, like if I wouldn't have been in the industry, like I would be like, what she's saying is not true, but it's 100%
Yeah.
true. It's a hundred
And
percent
too,
true.
when you do makeup, you have to make sure that okay, you did the makeup. So when you're on set, look at the monitor. Okay, just because it looks good in the makeup room doesn't mean it's going to look good on camera. So you have to
Yeah.
be able to train your eye and catch those things. You have to be kind of like OCD about the job that you did. So you have to be hard on yourself. I'm very hard on myself. Like I'll look at a monitor and be like, okay, that one piece of hair it's blowing in the wind. I need to put more blush on because she looks like she's washed out. The lipstick does, it needs to be a little brighter. Like I look at that because when you're on set, the director, the producer, they're entrusting in you that you're doing your job and you're looking for those things. They're not going to tell you that. So I
Right.
always tell people that when you work on a job in TV, the real job doesn't work until you're on set, whether it be dealing with the elements, dealing with a change, you know, dealing with lighting. You know, sometimes you have to, people don't know how to fix the lighting. Don't, you know, you can't fix humidity. You know, the lighting is what you got. It is what it is. So you have to kind of make that up in the hair and makeup to make sure that they look right, because the people can't fix the light, they can't fix the humidity, can't fix, you know, anything else. So you have to learn how to train your eye to see those things, to be able to fix those things on camera.
Very good. Very good advice. What's your favorite to work on? What's your favorite projects to work on? Whether it's TV commercials, editorial,
Yeah.
weddings. What's your favorite? You personally.
Well, yeah, my personal, I'm a very artistic person. So even as a child, I would color in a coloring book and outline and then use a tissue and fade it out. So I like color, and my favorite thing to do is editorial and fashion. Like I thrive in just fashion, like the whole energy, the vibe, the music, the looks. That's my favorite thing to do. And back in the 90s, when I was working at Mac, we were doing Fashion Week, and I worked a lot on the models like Cindy Crawford, Linda Evangelista, like, you know, back Chrissy Turlington, back in the good old days, Naomi Campbell. Like that's when makeup was makeup. It was exciting. It was great. It was just an amazing time for makeup. And I feel like a lot of those things have died out already. You know, a lot of it's like, oh, it's a TikToker or it's a influencer, and it's still fun to do, but like those days of like the makeup on runway and fashion, and they're in magazines. You know, magazines are they're a thing of the past now. I feel
Yeah.
like it's just the world is different. So for me, as an artist in my career, that was the most exciting time. So anytime I do makeup on somebody, I try to roll out the stops and always elevate my makeup look. Even if it's supernatural, I will elevate, do a wing liner, I'll do a pop of lip, I'll do a cut crease. Like I always try to elevate it to put my signature on it when I do it, because I love anything in fashion or editorial.
Do you have a favorite piece you've done?
Uh, I've done a lot of things, but let me see.
One that sticks out,
A
like you're
piece.
like you looked at and you're like, wow, like you impressed yourself. Like I'm proud about this one.
I think I've done a couple shoots for I did a cover for W magazine years ago, and I think it was one with Tyra Banks or something. I don't remember, but I always like seeing my stuff in magazines. That always excited me. Anything that was fashion, I was like a big nerd about it. So I still get nerdy when I see, like, when I do a makeup. I feel like,
Yeah.
oh my god, this is so amazing, and I love what I do to this day, and so I still get nerdy. But one of the things that I felt that was like seeing my work on a cover of a fashion magazine. That was like, okay, that's cool.
Is
That
that
was
when you
pretty
felt
cool.
like maybe you made it? Like, is there a time where you felt
I
like
don't feel like I've
I
made
made
it
it?
still. I don't feel that way. I feel like
Yeah.
it's such a constant. I mean, it's like once you do well, like you have to keep going. Like I don't feel like I've made it. I feel like I'm doing
Yeah.
well. I feel like people know me, but it is such a struggle to stay in the game, not be in the game, but stay in the game. You know, and I also feel like age plays a big number in this thing. A lot of people are younger, and or even like the older artists, they feel like, okay, I've worked a lot and here's my makeup, and they're gonna go on set and I'm gonna wait by the shade. I'm like no, like you need to go out there with your talent. So a lot of people in this industry are kind of like hateful towards me because they feel like I make them look bad, but I'm just doing my job. Like when I'm working,
Right.
I go into work mode. I mean, anybody who knows me knows that I'm a good time. I like to kid around, play around, say things. But when I'm working, I am
Yeah.
focused and I am working. Like
Yeah.
I'm not here to play. I'm here to work. But I don't feel like I've made it. I feel like I still struggle internally where, like, am I going to keep working? I have mouths to feed. Like, am I going to be okay? Like, they're trying to take my job. Like, they're trying to copy me. Like, I still have doubts and I still have insecurities like any person as an artist would.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I've made it.
Yeah.
I mean, what's here today can go tomorrow. Like, you never know, just because
Absolutely.
you're
Right.
doing well today doesn't mean you'll do well tomorrow. Like during
Right.
the pandemic, like we weren't working. So I had to go work at a strip bar doing makeup for strippers, to keep everybody on payroll. I've never done makeup for a strip bar at a strip bar for strippers, but here I go. You still, you just never know, you have
Did
to
you
do a
say
bunch
you
of
have to do
everything.
this during COVID?
Hmm.
Shut the hell up.
Yeah.
Wow. Out of all the times we talked, that's one thing you never told me.
Yeah. I was working like, I don't know, 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. I'm not going to name the place that I was working at
No,
because it's
you don't
very
need to.
popular.
I think
Yeah.
everybody gets
But,
the gist of it.
I literally have never done makeup on strippers like that. I've done strippers. I'm like, okay, I even done porn movies back in the day, but I was never in the
Oh my!
room. I
I
was
so
doing
see you
makeup.
doing that. Yeah, yeah.
So,
There's
you
nothing that
gotta,
shocks me from you ever.
I have done everything. And I even done dead people. I've even done a
What?
corpse. Yeah. I'm not going to name the person that I worked on. I'll tell you off
Yeah, yeah,
camera, but when he
yeah.
died, like I always worked on him and his family was like, okay, he's dead now. He died of natural cause. He's old. And they're like, you need to make him look like himself in his coffin. And I'm like, I'm not comfortable working on dead people. I'm not. And I remember him as alive. So the family begged me to do it. So, I learned that when you do makeup on dead people, the texture of the skin does not adhere normal makeup. Like there's nothing to hold
Right,
it. So I had to take a
right,
class with a person that works in a morgue, a makeup artist. So I had to blend wax with the stuff that I was using because it would stay on the skin. Because if not, it wouldn't be. Because there's no pulse, there's no warmth on the skin. The makeup wouldn't adhere to it. So I literally had to take a crash course on how to do makeup on a dead person at the morgue to do this person's makeup in his coffin. And I will never do that again. I have nightmares to this day about it.
well, those are things you can't unsee. Like once you do that, like those images are just in
Yeah.
your head for life. Like you can't unsee that. My next
Yeah.
question to you was going to be, what was your most challenging thing? I'm gonna
Yeah.
guess
Working
that's
working on a
probably
dead
right up there.
person. I would say that and also Super Bowl.
Wait,
Because we had to
what?
do like Super
You're
Bowl.
comparing Super Bowl and working on a dead
Yeah.
person as challenges?
Mhm.
I gotta hear this. I gotta hear this. Go
Well, we
ahead.
were
What?
doing the one in Tampa, the one during COVID. We had to do like those head wraps with gauze. So they were on the field. There was like 300 head wraps. So there was no
Okay.
makeup involved. I mean, they should have hired a nurse. But I'm like, I need the job and I want to do this. So I'll have to learn how to wrap a head in gauze. So, I wrapped 300 heads in gauze. And that was very challenging. We had to get them all done in like 40 minutes.
In 40
And
minutes?
we did it.
Oh, for the
The Super
weekend.
Bowl.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Well,
Oh, I forgot you did
he
the
didn't have
halftime
a
show.
gauze.
Yeah, you
He
told
had
me that.
makeup. So it was like I don't know how to wrap a gauze head. Like I'm not a medical person. I'm like they could have
Right.
hired a nurses. But I'm like, you know what? I need a job and I want this on my resume, so let's do it. And
So was
so
it you and your
obviously,
team or just you there?
yeah, no, it was me and my team. So when I heard they were coming to Tampa, then I'm like, who's doing hair
Yeah.
and makeup? Because nobody knew who the act was. And they're like, we don't know yet. I'm like, well, I'm going to get this job. 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 And then when I found out what it was, and I'm like, okay, so I'm going to get this job because I'm going to wrap the head and just prove to them that I already can do it. So we're going to get this job. So I did the research of what it was about. I called my niece and nephew. One was 9, one was 12. And I ordered pizza for them. I had like a meeting with the girls, and I'm like, we're going to wrap them in gauze. I'm like, I did some research. I found a picture of the weekend in like accepting an award when he's wrapped in gauze, but you only
Yeah.
see the front of it. So then I found pictures of him on the side, in the back, and the other side on top. So I called a friend who is a plastic surgeon. I'm like, what part did they use for the nose? He's like, it's like a nose tape. So I'm like, I couldn't find it. It was COVID. So I cut some nose out of paper and I stuck it, and then I wrapped them. I mean, I literally did the whole look, but it took us like 3 hours.
This
So
is
when I
awesome.
had the when I said I want to do this job and here are the pictures I can do it, they're like, oh, okay then, yes you can. So I got the job. So then when we had the Zoom
What?
meeting, I had to order like gauze, and I'm like, where do I get gauze in the middle of COVID? Gauze is out everywhere. So I don't even know how many $5,000-$10,000 worth of gauze on Amazon, and I got everything they had, and it was just crazy. It was so crazy. And then we had to do the looks in like maybe like I don't know 3 to 5 minutes. I can't even remember. And so
Yeah.
there was two of us tag teaming. So we kept doing it over and over and over and over and over again until from 3 hours, we got down to 30 minutes. Like, it's still too long. 30 minutes, we got it down to 10 minutes. So then we would time ourselves. So then we got it down to 3 minutes. So one would hold the head, one would wrap it, one would cut it, one would tape it. I mean,
Yeah,
we did it
because you
though.
had
We did
like
it in
how
3 minutes.
Yeah, and
Like
it was
over
flawless
300
because
people.
the show was flawless. Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
There was so many dancers on that show.
Oh yeah. It was crazy.
Wow, I had no
But
idea.
that was challenging, and it was. I mean, there was no makeup. The only one that had makeup was the weekend, and he was easy. But it was just the head wraps, that were
Yeah,
so intricate because it's something that would only a medical professional would know how to wrap a head wrap,
right.
and it was just so challenging because I'm like, I've never done this before. And then the weekend was like, we need more gauze, and I'm like, more gauze. I'm like, Jesus. I'm like, where am I gonna get all this gauze? We did rehearsal. He's like, it has to be more like fully gauzed. And then I'm like, okay, well, we're out of gauze now. So what do I do? I got everything out of Amazon. And then we were in Tampa, and they have a lot of medical supply stores. I went to like 10 different ones, and they're like, well, we're out of gauze. We send them to the hospital, so we don't have any more gauze. And I'm like,
Yeah.
where do I get gauze? So I went from every Walgreens and every CVS from Kissimmee to like Clearwater, and I went and bought gauze after gauze after gauze and everything they had in the pharmacy. Then I had one of the girls, I'm like, okay, I'll take this part of the world, you take that part of the world, and you buy the gauze on that side of town from Clearwater on. And that's how we
Wow.
did it because we couldn't get any gauze on Amazon or any medical stores. So that is how we did it.
That's awesome.
It
That's an
was
awesome
insane.
story. I had no idea. I
Yeah,
don't know. I
again,
don't
you
remember
figure
if
it
you told me you
out.
did that, but yeah.
You
Well,
have to
just knowing that
improvise.
you could make calls though to people to be like, hey, how do you do this? How do you do this? How do you do
Yeah.
this?
Oh,
You know?
if I need to do something for somebody, I have no problems calling the right person. Like, what do I need to do? How do I do this? I mean, I'll call people and ask questions. I want to make sure that I do my job, that I deliver. It's always about delivering. So again,
Yeah.
as a makeup artist, like, it's about delivering the job. It's not about just doing it. It's about, I would say my job is 50% personality, 50% the work that I do. So
Yeah.
if I don't have a personality, I can do like the best job, but I'm not I don't have any personality. Why would they call me again? So it's all about the personality and the work that you do. And I
That
have a lot of
explains
personality.
a lot. Oh, yes, you do. Oh, yes, you do. For the
So
viewers at home, Ann and I are like brother and sister that love hate relationship. It's like when we see
we
each
do.
other, we have to, who's going to throw the first dig? And it's usually her. I'm not going to lie. You usually beat
Yeah.
me to the punch. But it's like with us, anybody on the crew, they know Anna's going to be there. They know we're going to laugh.
Oh yeah. Yeah. What's the point of being there for 16 hours if we're just gonna be doom and gloom?
Absolutely. Which brings me to my
So
next question. What advice would you give to an aspiring makeup artist looking to break into television or in a wedding or an editorial? What advice would you give them? Like, what are
I
some
would
of the
definitely
characteristics they need
say
and stuff?
right. So it depends on the state that you live in. I know Florida has some tougher laws when it comes to doing hair and makeup. They want you to be licensed. Some people say it's not anymore, but from what I understand, you still have to be licensed, meaning that you need to either get a cosmetology license or an esthetician license. And the reason why you want to get the licensing is not because they teach you how to do hair and makeup, it's because of learning the protocols of like, diseases and how to sanitize, how to sterilize, things like that. What happens if a person has head lice? What do you do? What if they have a cut on their head? How do you clean your stuff? So it's things like that. So definitely, I would say check with your state, but I always recommend spending the money and getting licensed because nothing wrong with having a license. I feel like you get more work and you're more sellable if you have a license. So once you get your license, whether it be esthetician or cosmetology, I recommend taking a beginning course in art. You can go to your maybe like your community college because a lot of what they teach you in community college as a beginning course in art is how to shade and highlight. So makeup is all about shading and highlighting and blending. So if you know how to blend and how to shade and how to highlight, you can do any makeup or any makeup look on any person. So definitely, I would say invest money in yourself. Get your beauty license. Your either cosmetology, esthetician. Get a degree, beginning course in art, so you know how to do shading and highlighting, contouring, all that. and then maybe getting a position working as a makeup artist in retail, like I had mentioned before. So that
Hmm.
way you practice working on different faces and you build your kit as you're working because a kit is very expensive. So definitely do that. And also, I would say as a beginning artist, what I would recommend is like if I hire you or if I'm calling to see if you're available, I want the yes people. I mean, I know this job is not ideal for people with families, small children sometimes, but if you wanna learn, if you wanna make the money, get the jobs, travel, you have to kind of take jobs, build your portfolio. So you wanna have hustle. So I want to work with people that know that they're competent and they are going to get to work on time. They can figure it out. They're not complaining or whining. Who are positive, who have a good personality. I mean, it's a lot. I mean, that's what I
Yeah.
look in for people when I'm hiring people. If you can't get up early in the morning, this job is not for you. If you don't want to sweat to death, this job is not for you. If you have little babies, this job may not be for you unless you have daycare or somebody that can take care of your kids. You have to have a reliable vehicle. You have to be able to get up early. I mean, a lot of components fall into this
Yeah.
job when I hire somebody, and I ask all those questions when I hire somebody. I tell people, I'm like,
Abs-
do you have your own kid? Do you have your own personal vehicle, not somebody that you share a car with, your own personal vehicle? Are you able to get up to go to work at 3 in the morning? Can you work at night?
Absolutely.
Can you work weekends? Because I know a lot of those people that work in salons have Sundays and Mondays off. They don't come in till 9 or 10. Obviously this is not that type of job. And there's times where we're sweating to death in the heat. The elements, the humidity. It's no joke.
Yeah.
So, you have to come to work when you're sick. You have to come to work, when you don't feel like going to work and you have to perform.
Perform is right, because you could be
So,
having a bad
yeah.
day, but like you said,
Oh,
you can't
yeah.
make the
Oh, yeah.
the celebrity or the wedding person on her wedding day. You
No.
don't want to be bringing her day down as
Yeah.
well.
And I tell
Yeah.
people that, we all have our problems. We all have family issues. Nobody's perfect. We all have our things, but I look at work as a distraction. I'm going to work to distract myself because I always tell people that what we do, obviously, it's vanity, it's hair and makeup. We're not going to solve world peace, so it could help, if they look good. But also, too, it's kind of like a fake business. And
Yeah.
so I always tell people you have to have like a fake work persona. I know it sounds terrible to say, but just because your hood or street don't have a college education, it's okay, but you're going to work in a fake world. So bring your fake persona. Bring, like, I have an Anna number two. I have Anna number one at home. Everybody knows me at home. And then I have an Anna number two at work where I am work Anna. So you have to leave your problems at the door, come to work. Work is a distraction. We're happy we have a job. Be happy. I know it's hot. I know it's long hours, but I would rather work in doing this than working a 9 to 5, in my opinion, for myself. So,
Absolutely.
you
Now,
have to bring those components.
yeah, you got me wondering though. Which one do I know? Do I know Anna one or do I know Anna two?
This is Anna 2 at work, and number
Oh,
1
so
is
I
like
do know
street
Anna one.
street.
Okay,
Yes.
straight up.
When I
Okay,
tell you
good.
that when I tell you
I
that
just
I'm
want to make
gonna
sure I got that right.
when I tell you that I'm gonna cut you, I'm gonna cut a bitch, that's Anna number 1. But Anna number 2 is speaking very proper and trying to articulate everything that I'm saying.
Right, right.
So yeah. So, but it's
I
true
love
though.
it.
I tell people like you can't take yourself serious. This is a fake job. It's
Right,
vanity. It's vain. We're
right.
vain. Like we're getting paid to make people look vain. So do it. Leave your problems at the door. Go to work. Be happy. It could be a worse. We could have worse things in life. So
Absolutely,
I don't know.
absolutely. You kept saying the kit, and I want to. Is there a base kit that someone should have? If so, can you just go through like what that base kit should be? Like, if someone comes to you, they better have at least this base kit. Can you go through that?
There is no base kit, honestly. I mean, really, the way to do a good makeup is the tools, like the brushes that you use. So, if you're going to invest anything, invest money in your makeup brushes. So, even back in the old days, we used to use sable brushes, goat hair brushes, squirrel brushes. And now with PETA and everything, obviously they're really hard to find. They still make them, but they're very hard to find. And one thing that I tell people is that when I was working at Mac, they used to have a farm of animals that they would use their hair to make brushes with. They never killed the animals. They would literally farm raise them, grow them, feed them a certain diet, and they would shave their hair and they would make brushes out of them. So they never killed the animal. I don't know. I don't know if some companies kill animals for their hair, but the ones that I have seen, they were
Yeah.
always just raised and grown for their hair. So I would say, and it's hard to find those kind of brushes now, but believe it or not, if you go to a craft store like a Michael's or Joanne Fabrics, they still make art brushes that have real sable hair and squirrel hair. So if you can invest money in brushes, you can even go to the craft store and buy those kind of artist brushes. It's always good to have a good set of brushes in your kit. And you want to make sure that you have maybe like one good set. So invest money in one good set and have like multiples that you can, if you don't have time to clean it to your client, then you just grab a new brush because you didn't have time to clean the brush. So you want to have one good set that you've invested in that are well put together, that work well, and then have a couple of sets as backups so you have, and they don't have to be as expensive.
Yeah. Okay. And just so people know too, and the only reason I know too is like when you go on a job too is just I don't know how it works with weddings, and maybe you could explain. Actually, I'll let you explain it. What's the difference on how you charge? You don't have to say numbers, but is there a difference on how you charge for TV, for weddings?
Yes.
Meaning, okay, can you just go through that, or I don't care if you want to do
Yeah.
numbers or
Yeah.
not, but I'll let you whatever
No,
you
I
feel
won't do
comfortable with.
numbers because they change all the time.
Yeah.
So obviously, with the cost of living, so for weddings, obviously with the cost of living, supplies have doubled in price. So it's not even like, like the cost of a can of hairspray. Not only can you not find what you need as much anymore, when you find them, the price for products have tripled. Not only because, like getting them overseas is harder, but I feel like when you find something that you like, you have to like kind of hoard now because it's harder to find.
Yeah.
So when we do a wedding, we have to take that into consideration, which means the supplies are more expensive, the cost of gas is more expensive, like makeup sponges, bobby pins, things like that. Everything is more expensive and harder to find. So obviously, you know, you have to charge a bit more. You have to kind of stay relevant in your market when you charge price for a service. So when you do a wedding, you charge for service, but you have to not overprice yourself where you won't get work, but you have to also, charge your services so that you still get compensated for your products and your mileage and going to, we still do weddings at 2, 3 in the morning, believe it or not. So you want to make sure that you're getting paid for your time. But I know, like I said, you have to price yourself within the industry that you live in, your area. You don't want to overprice yourself. We're not in New York. New York obviously would cost more because everything in New York is more money than in California. I live in Florida. So we don't live in Miami, we live in Orlando. So if I lived in Miami, I would charge a little bit more. But Orlando, we try to stay like competitively priced with other companies so that we're not overpricing ourselves, but we're
Right.
still, you know, pricing ourselves where everybody can still make a decent living, obviously. And
No,
then
so
for
definitely do your
production,
research, right? You have to do your
yes,
research
definitely
and
do your
make sure
research.
you're not
Yeah,
overpricing yourself because you don't want to not
right,
get the work. You're to be competitive
right.
with other job or other
Also,
companies. Okay.
I belong to a lot of like makeup artists and hair groups, wedding groups on social media that I read and the comments and stuff. And just because you did one celebrity or you've been doing this for 10 years doesn't mean you have to charge triple the price because you think you're better than most people.
Right.
Like if you are the owner, like if I have a request for a wedding, I kind of feel and see the situation. If they want me specifically, I may charge like a request fee, but not always. It just depends. But when I do a job, I also want to make sure for weddings, I also want to make sure that if I'm working with my team, it's not just me, I work with my team. I want to make sure that I'm not there. I'm the owner. I get charged more because I'm charging more. Like I want my team to feel like we're a team. So just because I'm the owner and I have more experience doesn't mean that I'm better than anybody. I don't have. I can go to a wedding and be like, hey, do the bride, and I'll do the bridesmaid. Like I don't have to do the bride. I feel I want
Right.
everybody to know that when I work in my team, I I'm an equal participant working with my team, and I don't feel like I'm any better. We're a group, we're a team. It's teamwork.
Absolutely.
And then when we do a production job, obviously the cost, you have to kind of take into effect the cost of living, the supplies. So you would get like a day rate for a production job if it's local. But if you're traveling outside the city, or if you have to get on a plane, or you know, drive more than 2 hours or 4 hours, etc., then you would have to probably check and see what it costs for mileage, and maybe a hotel. You have to stay in a hotel and give them like a package deal,
Right.
and price yourself a little bit higher where they can kind of compensate for that travel and mileage and expenses, that you would have to incur if you weren't living at home and working nearby. So you have to kind of like do your homework for that as well.
Okay. And does editorial work like TV?
No, editorial work. TV is more, it's with high definition. It's more like lifestyle, which meaning that if you do a heavier foundation or heavier look, it's not going to look well on TV because it's high def now. So editorial is more for photo shoots, maybe a wedding. We've had weddings where they want to look more editorial because it's all photography. But for television, it could be like a high fashion glam, but not editorial with over the top. So you have
Okay.
to kind of know what you're doing and what you're using for what you're doing to make sure it doesn't look terrible on television.
Gotcha. Okay. How about going to your business now with Beauty Special? What strategies did you put in place to build a strong brand? How did you build that unique identity
Right.
for yourself?
Well, I feel like a lot of it's due because I'm still working in my business. Like I'm not the owner of like, okay, I'm going on vacation for 6 months and you guys do the work. So I feel like in order to keep going, and staying up with the changes and challenges, I feel like you have to be present in your company.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I'm constantly working in my job, making sure that I do like quality of work checks with people, making sure everybody's happy in what they're doing, making sure the client's happy, reaching out to people, relationships with people, just things like that. Just still staying in the game. So I feel like that is a secret to my success in my business because I'm still working in it and I'm not just delegating the work. So I'm still involved in every aspect of my business.
Yeah.
I
Do
feel
you
like that's
feel
a
like
big deal.
do you feel like sometimes you need a break and you want to stay in the office for a little bit, but after a while
Yes.
you're like, I got to get out of this office. I got to get back in the field because
Yeah.
you still need the creativity part, right? Like you
Yeah.
still need that part in your life, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, believe it or not, like starting a business was something that I always wanted to do. It was not. I'm an artist first. Like I
Yeah.
would tell you, you would know. I'm not a business person. Like if I have a question, I'll ask you. I'll ask somebody because I'm not
Yeah.
sure. There's no right answer. But like throwing a company together in 2 days, it was something that just happened. Like it was nothing that I ever planned.
Right.
So I know people think it's crazy, but people are like, "What are your goals for 5 years?" I'm like, I don't really know. I just kind of go with whatever I feel like doing, and I just go with it. Like I've always been like that. It sounds crazy to a lot of people that are very goal oriented and have a 9 to 5 and plan their vacations. I don't plan anything. I just kind of go with whatever I feel like doing, and whatever I feel like doing, I just do it. But there are times where I may need a break from production, a lot of early mornings and
Mm-hmm.
all of the craziness that goes in production, a lot of personalities, lots of things take into fact where I'm like, I'm done with production. I'm going to do weddings for a while and talk to normal people. I know people may not think brides are normal, but for
Right.
me in the production world, I know how to work with brides and I know how to communicate with them. And it's like a break. But then there could be a time where I'm doing a lot of weddings and I'm like, I'm done with brides. Like, I hate weddings. I'm done with people. I need to go work in production. So I
Right.
switch gears and go to production.
Yeah.
But a lot of the times when I work in production, it's not about the work that I do. It's about people like working with people that we work with. They're like family. Like we know, like working with you guys. I like working with you
Right.
guys. If I know it's you
Right.
guys, I try to get on the job because it's not about the work. It's about the relationships.
Right. The
So I
camaraderie.
look and
Right.
see who's
Absolutely.
working. Right. Like I miss that
Yeah.
because, I work in the office. I want to need to get out and talk to real people. But
Right.
it just depends. Sometimes I do get burnout a lot. It's very stressful. And I may just work in the office for a while because I just need to be away. I get peopled out. So I need to stay in the office and run everything else. But then, or there might be an issue at work where like, oh, somebody was a few minutes late, somebody, this job is hard. If you have a thin skin, like you cannot be a hair and makeup artist. Like this job is not for the weak. So there could be some younger artists where like, oh, she doesn't say a lot. She's quiet. Yeah, but she's a great artist. So she's quiet, but it may have rubbed somebody the wrong way. So what I do, I feel like it's a soup. So the soup is just, simmering and it's fine. But when it starts to bubble or boil, then I need to get in the soup to start to simmer it again to calm it down. So I also look and see what's going on. If there's an issue or situation that I need to be present for, then I will switch gears and jump in and fix it and make it right and switch with somebody else. But you just have to kind of know your your audience, I guess you can say, and your people that work for you.
Right, right. You definitely need to. That was good what you said at the end, because you definitely need to know your client and your audience, because, like you
Yeah,
said, sometimes I have to jump in. It's just sometimes I have to jump in to
yeah,
either show my face to the client because they haven't seen me in a while,
yeah,
or just to make sure that they know everything is still good, because it's a comfort
right.
thing for
And
them as well, right?
it is. And a lot of these younger artists, like they're so talented. We have one that they're like, well, she just talks a lot. I'm like, yes, she's a little annoying, but she shows up to work. The corporate clients love her. Her makeup skills are like amazing. And so she may not be everybody's cup of tea, the younger artist, like she talks a lot. But I'm like, okay, so if her thing is that she talks a little bit too much, but she hasn't said anything offensive, hasn't not shown up for work, the client loves her. Well, sorry, but you're going to keep getting her because she's doing her job, you
Right,
know? But
right.
this job, and like I said, a lot of the younger artists, they're into their phones a lot and they're into social media a lot. So before I'd be like, put away your phone, don't be on your phone. But a lot of people are like, put us on social media, or they may have small children that they have to check on. So I have learned to be a little bit softer with that. I'm like, okay, well, use your phone when you need to, but don't be on your phone all day. And
Right.
and because of that, a lot of younger artists don't have that communication skills. They have the artist skills. They'll show up for work on time. They'll deliver, but they don't have that connecting thing where they connect with the clients because they lack communication skills. But honestly, that is the way of the world these days. A lot of these younger kids, that's what they do. I mean, like you can't really be mad about it because that's what they do. You
Yeah,
can be like, okay, don't be on your phone as much, but that's the way of the world. Like this is what we live in.
yeah. All
So
very good advice, especially
yeah.
that last part, which is going to bring me to my next question. How do you go about selecting a makeup artist for your team? What qualities do you look for, and for them to be a potential candidate for your team?
So when they first apply, the first thing I ask them is like, okay, do you have a cosmetology license? Do you have a Florida cosmetology license? And can I see a picture? Can you send me your social media handle so I can look at your work? Because most people don't have a portfolio now; they put everything on social media. So once I look at their resume, I make sure that and that they're licensed. Then I make sure that they live in town. They don't live like an hour away because obviously for the work that we do, we have such early calls. Like commuting
Yeah.
may not be something. What if there's an accident? Like I make sure that they're local. So I ask, if they live local, and then I look at their social media handles, and then I'll schedule an interview with them. And then when I interview them, I ask them, okay, so can you put on a pair of false lashes? Can you do eyeliner with a wing? Are you comfortable working on all skin tones, ethnicities? Do you have a reliable vehicle? Can you get up at 2 in the morning? Can you work overnight? Do you have anything that would hinder you from coming to work or anything that I need to know about? So we go into all that, and I'm a really good person about reading body language. So they can be telling me something, but their body language is saying something else. So I'm pretty good about reading people. So they may tell me like, yes, 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 but their body language is saying something else. They're stalling about something. I'm like, something's not right. Something is off. So I'm a pretty good judge of character. So, and I feel like anyone is trainable. So just because your makeup is decent,
Yeah.
but you have a good personality, you're able to work, you want to do it, you're a go-getter, you're like, yes, 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 I'll do it. You want to hustle. I will be willing to invest time and money in that person for somebody that has it
Absolutely.
all. I always go for the underdog. So, because I know that anybody is trainable and teachable. It's the ones that are like, well, I know how to do this. I had a person that I interviewed that somebody recommended, and I interviewed her, and she's like, well, I live in DeLand, and do you pay a travel fee? I'm like, no, because we hire locals. So if you live in DeLand, that's on you. That's what we need, a local artist. And then she's like, "Well,
Absolutely.
you're gonna pay for my tires, you pay for my oil change, you're gonna pay for this." And I'm like, "No, I
You're
don't
like,
don't pay
check.
for that."
Yeah.
I'm like,
You're like,
"Next."
screw
I was
you.
like, "Don't X."
Sometimes you wonder, like,
I
what
was
are they
like,
thinking?
"They're not. They're not
Yeah.
thinking. They think they're divas." And I'm like, "I've been
Yeah.
doing this for 36 years." I'm like, I can do circles around you. So you
Right.
better just simmer down." But
I,
it's a lot.
you're an
So
awesome times.
I'm
You're,
really
you're just
good.
an awesome times with people.
No, I'm just like shocked. And then when we hire them, we put them on 90-day probation. So I make sure that I put them on the earliest wedding possible, but not alone, so that if they don't show up, then somebody's there to cover. And then I
Right.
put them on a production job with other people to make sure that everybody is, if we have to jump in and save them, then we can jump in and save them. So I look for all that. So
Yeah.
if they're able to get to work after 90 days, be on time, show like their team players and all that, wanting to learn, then they're hired. If not, some people just don't make it to 90 days. That's how it is.
Absolutely. Well, that's why you have to have it, especially as a business owner. I mean, I totally understand that. I think everybody should have some type of probation period. You know, and
Yeah,
here I only had one guy that never that didn't last. After 2 weeks, he was like, "This really isn't for me." And the way I
yeah,
say it is like, this is covering you and me. And after 90
yeah,
days, if you choose
yeah,
not to, there's no broken.
right.
We're still going to be friends. We're still going to keep contact, but it just didn't work out. It's a way to protect both of us.
Yeah,
I don't see
right.
anything wrong with it. Especially, I like the way you do
No,
it too. You put them on the worst because if they can handle the worst and they're good, you'll
yeah,
be good with them for the others.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'll put them on the earliest shoot with the hottest day, with the
yeah,
longest, multi parks, and like, hey, listen, I'm old. If I can do
absolutely.
it, you
Way
can
to.
do it. So I don't want to hear it.
Let's say
So
she walked 20 miles in one day. Perfect. You'll fit
yeah,
right in.
yeah, yeah. Yep. She didn't hit the crafty all day long. She's good. Like she didn't offend anybody. She's great. She has a good
What about
personality. She's a team player.
like further developing your artistic abilities? Like you were talking before, like certain your research and stuff. Do you do that as a group with your team at all? Like, do you ever get all in? You say, okay, we're gonna practice this, or look at this style, and we're
Well,
gonna try to mimic this.
I feel as an artist, everybody grows different at a different time. So when I work with people, I work just to work, but I also work to keep an eye on everybody. So I look and see, okay, what's going on with this person? What do they need help on? What do I need to improve with them? Like I said, I feel like everybody is able to learn and grow. Everybody's teachable. So if I'm
Yeah.
working with somebody and there's like an issue, then I'll pull them aside and be like, okay, we need to work on this, on a certain updo style, or maybe I see potential in people that they don't see in themselves sometimes. So I'll push them to the limit, knowing that I have to break them sometimes, knowing that they have it in them and they can do it. Because
Yeah.
this is a scary business. If you do a hair on somebody on a wedding and the person didn't like it, like you can't please everybody, 100% of the time. But a lot of times it's because the bride didn't, or the client did not translate their ideas better. They didn't have a photo, they didn't know what they wanted. So you can't come to an appointment with no idea. And what are we supposed to do? Like anything we do, you're not going to like because you don't know what you want. So, sometimes it could be a harsh environment and it breaks people down. And they, even myself, it can question you as an artist. Am I still good enough? Am I not good enough? Am I made for this? So when I see that it's, it's like it's crushed somebody and it's challenging their potential as an artist, and I know that they're better than that, I will pull them off and like maybe give them a break and put them on a production and then work with them one on one and send them a video, work on their
Right.
mannequin. We'll bring a model. I mean, we will work with them until we know that they get it down. Like I said, but so you have to kind of look at everybody's strengths and what everybody is built for. Like there's people that are not built for this. They're really sensitive, and doesn't matter if you train them or not. If you don't have that thick skin and everything is going to bother you, then this is not going to work out for you. You got to be honest with them and yourself.
Yeah,
But
but
we
I
do
like because
offer
you're seeing
training
potential.
and stuff. Yeah.
You're seeing
Oh
potential. So if
yeah.
you see
I
the
mean,
potential and if they're receptive, then you're willing to put
right.
the effort in.
Yeah, and anybody that works for me can't be like, well, she didn't do it. How does she know? She didn't go through it. I have been through everything,
Right.
lived through everything. There's nothing you can't do that you said that you can't do that I have not done or been through it. So if I can
Right.
survive it and I know you have potential, you're like, I will
Yeah.
take care of you. I will protect you. I will show you. I will help you if you're willing to stay here and learn and be loyal and be a hard worker. Like I will reward people for loyalty, because it's hard to find that these days. And like I said, I
Absolutely.
still work with my team. I'm not going to send somebody on a job that I would not do, that I would not ever go to work in. So there's nothing they can't do that I haven't done already. And I understand where they're coming from.
Yeah.
So I'm a 100% team player all the time.
Awesome. And I'm sure everybody on your team would be glad to hear, especially
Yes.
protecting them
Yeah.
as well.
Oh yeah. I mean, people that work for me, they're not gonna say, they'll never tell me that I'm lazy. When you hear like, how is she to work for? They'll never say that I'm lazy. They never say
Right.
they never got paid. They never say any of those things. The thing they'll say is like, I want to be like her. I want to do what she does. And it's not that easy. It's a lot of
No.
years, and you still work at it.
Yeah.
So that's been
Well,
my biggest struggle. People feel like they can do what I do, and they can't. And it's just like, it's always something, with past employees that feel like they can do what we can do.
well,
But
how
it's a
long? How
24
long
hour
has Beauty?
operation.
Let me ask you this: how long has Beauty Special been around? 20,
Uh,
30, 25 years, 30 years?
20, like, no, like 27 years. 27
So,
years, yeah.
wow, that's awesome.
And I've
27
been doing
years.
this 36 years, I think, now. I don't even
Oh,
remember.
well, here's the thing. So, by being successful all these years and you're still on top of your game, how important is networking?
Oh, it's 100% very important networking. And it's, again, relationships. Like I said, I may not be everybody's cup of tea, which we all know, but we do have
No.
people that have worked with us for many years, and
Yeah.
they have different strengths than I do, and they'll go on a networking event representing us. So you have to kind of know your strengths and know your audience and know who's good at what. But 100% networking is the way to go. Relationships. I mean, I've worked on people that work in my industry that when I knew them, they weren't married, had kids, and now the kids are getting married now, they have grandkids. Like, it's just crazy. And we're
Yeah.
doing their proms, we're doing their homecomings, we're doing their weddings. I mean, it's just relationships. We're like family. But a
Yeah.
lot of it is networking and relationships, 100%.
Are there certain things that you do and you don't do for networking?
What do you mean by that?
Well, the reason
What does
I'll
that
bring up
mean?
is no, 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 no. I'll bring
Just
up a
kidding.
certain thing because I remember when we did this big CVC shoot, and you guys played a big role in that. Okay, as far as our CVC shoot,
Yeah.
our clients were super happy with every aspect
Wait,
of
the,
it.
the British, the British one? I don't
No, the
remember that
Brazilian
one. There's a
one,
lot I
the
remember.
the
Oh, God,
Brazilian one that we did for the
Brazilians.
tourism with
Okay.
the Disney Channel host, and then we had the family.
Okay.
But at the end, like for me, I wanted to thank everybody on the team, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna have everybody come out. We're gonna go to
Oh,
Bahama
yeah.
Breeze and stuff like that. And there's something, and you're like, you didn't show up, but it seems
Hmm.
like it's something that you don't do. I want to bring this up, and
Mm-mm. I don't do that. No. I
okay,
don't go
well
to
that
rap
that's
parties.
yeah,
I don't. Okay, so I'm a really good networker. Like, I'll go to dinner with people. I know their families.
yeah,
I'll go to events. I'll do events for people because we're family. But as a rap party, I don't go to rap parties. In my personal opinion, I feel like nothing good ever comes out of rap parties. I feel like it's one too many drinks. Maybe said the wrong thing, in the wrong time. I feel like my personal opinion is nothing good ever
hmm,
comes out of rap parties.
yeah,
Holiday parties are different, it's work related or things like that, but a wrap party, I feel I've seen things on people where they've crossed the line and they're not asked to come back. So I don't want to put myself in that situation that can happen. and knowing myself, because I don't have a filter, I try not to go to any wrap parties.
So so
I know myself.
that explains everything. Now I understand
Yeah,
why. But I mean
I know
that's
myself.
yeah. Well, that's a good thing though to know your limits and why even put
Yeah,
myself in that situation is the way you're looking
right,
at it.
right. I mean, I have a client that I've done hair and makeup for I don't know, 27 years, and they
Yeah.
still call me and they fly me everywhere, and I still, after every season, they invite me to the wrap party, and I have never been to a wrap party.
Wow.
I don't go to the wrap parties.
So if I called and said, "Hey, Anna, I want you and your team to come to our Christmas company party," you wouldn't come.
Yeah, that's a Christmas
Oh,
party. It's a holiday
okay.
party.
Okay.
There's other people there, but a wrap party is like we're exhausted. We said it's a rough shoot,
Right.
or we don't want to hear about this job. We want to drink till we don't know our names. Like that's a different vibe.
Okay. Okay. I
So
can
I
understand
don't
that.
know that I want to put myself in that situation. I'm a good time,
I
don't get me wrong, but
right. Right.
I don't want to put myself in that situation.
I
I
can
mean, I know my
understand that.
boundaries. I have to have boundaries.
Right. Right. Well, boundaries in you. I don't know. That's.
Oh, I have boundaries.
I guess it depends on which Anna you know. If it's A or B, like you said before. I guess
But
since I
listen,
know
like
both,
obviously I have boundaries because I'm still working in this business, like I'm
and you're
still here,
killing
so
it.
I have to have
You're
boundaries.
right. You're
So I
killing
have to
it.
have
You're killing it.
boundaries.
I want to end with this though because like lately the you've been taking some pretty good vacations because you said when you get burned out you head out.
Yeah.
How do you deal with the work business life for yourself? Like how do you keep yourself from burning out?
Well, I mean, burnout is a thing. It's a real thing, as we all know. But to keep going, like you need a break sometimes. So I've learned that over the years that you can work hard and you can play hard. So when you own a business, like you're never off, number
Yeah.
one. So, you have to take your laptop with you and your AirPods, and depending on the country you're in or the state you're in, a time factor could be an issue, but you learn to run your business from where you're at. So I can physically remove myself from my business and go visit a family member in a different country, different state, but doesn't mean that I disconnect. So I don't always 100% disconnect because I still have to run stuff. I may not
Right.
be here, but the work is here and the girls are working and they may need something. So I have to be able to get them out of a bind if I need to, or call the right person if they can't get to where they need to get in. So I have my phone is on 24 hours a day. When I do go on a vacation, I make sure that I have Wi-Fi and internet. There's always something happening, and at least somebody in charge to take my place when I'm gone. So if something they have to physically take care of, I can call her and be like, "Hey, something's going on." Call her, or I'm like leaving. Call this person. If that person can't figure it out, then call me. So I'm always available to talk or send a text to, or be reached on, when I'm on vacation. Unfortunately, those are the perks of the job. So you have a company, you're never 100% off. It's how it is,
Yeah. No, I
and I've learned that
100% understand. Yeah, I 100% understand.
because
You're never off. And like you said, like
your company's your
calls come in all the
baby.
time.
Yeah, like
Right.
yeah,
Right.
all 24
Yeah.
hours a day, and the client needs an answer like right away, or the client is like, I want to talk to you. I need to talk to you. And you're
Yeah.
like, okay, so the reason why your company does well is because you're your company. They want to talk to you, so you got to talk to the client. It's how it
Yeah.
is. It's
Yeah.
like, so this job is not for people that want to just break away 100% and be like, okay, I'm gonna run a company and I'll be living in a different state and you guys run it. Like, I feel like the secret to my success is still being involved in my company, because my company reflects who I am as a person and as an artist, and what I represent. Values, and the hustle and quality and all those things. It's
Yeah.
very important.
With that being said, I want you to end with that. If you could just give bullet points on to be in this business and be successful, what do you need?
To be in this business and be successful, you have to give it 110% every single day. You have to go to work when you're not feeling like going to work. You have to bring I call it my work face, and you need to just go and kill it every time. You have to incorporate who you are as a person, your beliefs, what you stand for, your work ethic. I have very good work ethic. I'll give you that. I can work I mean, I could be having an hour of sleep, but I will be there. If I say I'm going to be there, I'm going to be there. You know, you have to show up every day, every single day. You have to show up for you and for your clients and for your company. So, you know, it's like I said before, this work is not for the faint of heart. So, secret success, I think, is just showing up every single day and just killing it. You know, pretty much. Right. I don't even know how to end it, but that's pretty much what I do. I don't even know what to say.
I
Like
love
that's
it.
what I do. Like I fucking show up for work. I'm here, bitches. Like I'm here, bitches. And like here she is. Here she is.
That's exactly our
Yeah,
reactions.
yeah.
There she
I'm like,
is.
good morning, bitches. Good morning, bitches. Like here she is. And if I don't say
Oh
anything, like, what's
man.
wrong with you? I'm
It-
like,
th-
nothing.
Actually, that's exactly
Yeah,
what we would say. That's exactly what we would
yeah.
say.
What's wrong
You
with
know,
you?
look. I want to thank you for your time. Seriously, this interview was amazing. You did a really, really good job, and I think you gave a lot of input to the viewers, especially someone that wants to be a hair and makeup artist in any of the industries, whether TV, weddings, editorial. You gave a lot of good input for them. So I thank you for taking the time out to do that for us.
Well, thanks for having me.
All
Appreciate it.
right, thanks again. Anna gave us some really good advice today. As she shared her journey and expertise, a few key takeaways were: be a hustler in this industry. The dedication and the relentless drive to succeed, to continuously improve and innovate, sets apart the great from the good. It's about seizing every opportunity and working hard to make those opportunities count. Staying up to date with trends is another invaluable piece of advice she gave us. The fashion and beauty world is ever evolving, embracing new styles and techniques to enhance your craft. And perhaps the most powerful reminder is the significance of a positive attitude. As a hair and makeup artist, you often set up the tone for the talent for the day. Your demeanor, your energy, these can stage for a fantastic day on set or at an event. Being the first face they see and infusing the interaction with positivity and warmth can truly make a difference. So, to all inspiring artists out there, heed these words of wisdom. Embrace the hustle, stay on trend, and let your positive attitude light the way. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Media Hub. See you on the next one.